Welcome back to Smartbuild Implementation Series. We're in part 11, cupolas. As you can see, Smartbuild does support two different styles of cupolas. I have a model building up here with our cupola editor opened up here. And you can see with the generic database, out of the box, you get a few sample sizes of cupolas within the two styles. So if we go back to the setup wizard, and again, to find this, we go to settings, setup wizard, and then we go to cupolas. So in the cupola section, you will find these samples in here. And some people sell cupolas as a kit, as an entire kit. Some people sell them as parts and pieces, maybe a side and a bottom trim, and a corner trim, and a roof as all separate parts. So the only way that you can really set them up in Smartbuild is as a full kit. And sometimes it makes sense to just create a kit part number in your point of sale system. Add all the sides and trim parts up, and maybe even a weather vane, and create a part number that has a price. So if we look at this cupola kit, you may have a price of $800 for a 2-foot cupola with a weather vane. And looking at, in setting up a cupola, these sizes and these dimensions, they do affect what the model looks like. So when we look at one of these, this 2-foot cupola, if we set the width at 24 and the height, this one was set at 18. If you change it to 24 and maybe adjust the pitch, this is going to affect how that model looks in the 3D model. The style, this does affect and changes which class it shows up in and how it appears in the model. And then the other setting, or the other entries here, are very similar to other items that we've set up before. We have a selling unit of each one, and you have your cost and your price. It's normally a taxable item. You can enter your weight and choose whether or not you lock your markup or not. And lock markup, if you don't understand what that is, that's basically saying that when I mark my job up, or I'm quoting a job and I go to the job review and I'm adding a markup to all the products in the job, when I mark that job up, any items that are locked would not get a markup applied to them. It would stay the same. So that's what that lock markup does. But getting back to the model here, you can see when you change your wall color of the building, the louvers, that's the color you're going to get. And then the building trim is showing that, and then the roof color matches the roof here. So those are kind of hard-coded. You can't change what they look like. As of version 1.90, we may eventually, do something more. But as of this latest version, at the making of this video, that is how cupolas work. So they are purely aesthetic, and there's no framing, as in reinforcement being applied. If we turn the shell off and we look at the framing, the cupola completely disappears and there's nothing extra happening here. So if you do want something to add to your material list, likely with cupolas, we could set up package items where every time that you add a cupola, it may add some extra framing parts, or you could just manually add them as a salesperson. When you add a cupola, you could say that we want to add some 2x6 framing for that cupola. So you could go to the job review, go to your accessories where the cupolas are, add a catalog item, and maybe find that framing item here, find some 2x6s, and put in a quantity of maybe two 8-foot 2x6s to help fasten extra support for that cupola. So that's just an example. And then you could put in a label here, a usage, so that you would know what this was for on your material list. So that would show up. It would show up down here or at the top and in your list here. So it shows up right here, and it has this description here and what it's for. So that's how you can add cupolas to the job. So that the process of adding a new cupola, simply click the cupola here at the top, and it opens up your styles. And you can add multiples at a time by setting the quantity to maybe 3 and then the spacing. So you can center them, you can offset them, you can edit what's there. So there's a lot of controls there. Now getting into the cupola hardware category. So again, you can edit these for the cupolas or add your own. But the cupola hardware, some people would put in weather vanes here. If you choose to do that, it works either way. But if you're creating a kit like I've done here in the generic database, you can see the weather vane may be already here. And if you look at this example here that's included, some people would just add this weather vane manual, or maybe the reason for these weather vanes here are so they could add the correct one that the customer wants. Maybe you have 10 choices, and then you would just select the one in the job that the customer wants. So you have your weather vane included in the price here, but to make the material list correct, I could go to add catalog and add my cupola hardware and pick the weather vane that I want. So you may have a couple different choices in here to pick from, and then you could add them to the material list. So that's kind of how the cupola hardware and the cupolas work together. And again, it is a kit-based product. So you can't set cupolas up with individual parts. It is just a SKU for the entire cupola kit, and then you order the kit with that. So it's a pretty short session. I think that wraps up cupolas, and I hope this helps everyone, and we'll see you next time.